Hello and welcome to the Monday Agenda. The Monday Agenda today is highly delighted to have an interview with the Palestine ambassador here in Tanzania, His Excellency Hamdi Mansour Abu Ali, who is with us for the next 45 minutes, deep diving onto the relationship that Tanzania has with Palestine, but also I'm sure my viewers, you will be very curious now to understand what is going on in Palestine. Very welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Great pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciated. Your Excellency, I gathered that you've been in Tanzania for the past 3 years now.
Yes.
So how do you find Tanzania? Maybe your experience for the past 3 years.
Tanzania is one of the greatest places that I served in. This is my fourth mission.
Okay.
And I'm so delighted to be here. I have learned a lot. And the most important thing that I've learned, and it benefited me personally, is the opportunity to be calm and the opportunity to take things easy and the opportunity to see things moving forward. Since the day I came until today, a huge change took place in 3 years. But I could have noticed that with God's help, a good change, a positive change in economic and in politics and in international relations and cooperation. Yeah.
Yes, and just to understand, this being your next mission, where were you before coming to Tanzania, Your Excellency? Third, fourth mission?
I served in South Africa.
Okay.
I served in Malaysia.
All right.
And I served in Canada.
Okay.
And I served in the ministry at the minister's office.
Okay, back in Palestine.
Back in Palestine, yes.
Interesting. And your stay in Tanzania, I'm sure the past 3 years you've moved around, you've seen places.
I did. I had, of course, during Corona time, everybody was scared to move. But,
yes.
But the rest of the time, yes. I've been to Zanzibar,
Okay.
I've been to Arusha, we've been to Victoria Lake, we've been to national parks. Yes, we've been around. Very nice places.
Areas of interest in those regions? Tourism being one of them?
Tourism, to be honest,
Yes.
I like my nature. I like older places. So Stone Town was for me something unique, and I could have seen similarities in some of the Mediterranean old cities with the Stone Town. So Zanzibar is a place that I really liked.
Lovely.
I like the beaches here too, and I have some experience in savannah and the game reserve, but I like Stone Town.
Before we look onto the history of relationship between Tanzania and Palestine, which I'm eager to learn as well, Your Excellency, maybe to understand, how would you describe the bilateral relationship between our two countries at the moment?
That's a great question, actually. This is a historical relation, by the way. You know that our relationship with Tanzania started from those days Tanzania was established.
Okay.
The relationship with the first president of Tanzania, Muallimu Nyerere, was a very strong relation, and we were brothers in struggle and arms. Our relationship have a special and unique connection with Tanzania because of the history that we shared in the beginning during the movement for struggle and for freedom between our late Arafat and late Muallimu Nyerere and the BLO. And there is a very unique position that Muallimu Nyerere took in 1957. He was one of the leaders who founded the struggle against apartheid, and he was one of the main front leaders for that. And also in the 60s, he took a very historical point and position that in Palestine we still cherish until today. That he said the system that Israel is imposing against the Palestinian is similar to an apartheid, which has to be stopped and which has to be fought. So for us, Tanzania Nyerere, Tanzania is one unity, and it is in our hearts, it's in our brains, it's in our thoughts, and we only think positive of Tanzania. And we can seek refuge in Tanzania. We know that we have brothers and sisters who we can relate to.
Okay.
And who can understand our pain, and because they stood fast with us.
Okay, absolutely. And how do you envisage, as an ambassador, how do you envisage your relationship going forward?
Look,
opportunities.
There is many opportunities
correct.
that we had to learn. Our presence in Tanzania is not new. The presence of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, when it was accredited to Muallim Nyerere, directly economical and investors from Palestine, economical relations, and investors came to Tanzania. The most prominent, if you know, at that time, in the 60s and 70s, up to the 80s, Palestinian doctors came here as the first wave of doctors to come to Tanzania with their families to sit, and they stayed here more than a decade for free, without any, it was a mutual benefit for both of us. And since the Palestina, the hospital took the name Palestina because of the Palestinian doctors who served there.
I literally never knew about that background. Wow.
Yeah, and the government was generous to us too, to host all the doctors and their families in Dar es Salaam. And they stayed here for more than 15 years, giving medication in that hospital. That's why the name is related to Palestine.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Excellent. I had, and I'm grateful for the opportunity we had before the beginning of the program to really speak of how media can actually, magnify a small thing into big thing. But now we have you, Your Excellency. You want to tell us. I'm eager personally to learn, and I'm sure my viewers too are very eager to know the conflict in Palestine. Just a genesis of that.
I think the 40 minutes we have is not enough.
Can never be enough, absolutely. But
let me try to add to the picture that is available. First, I have to be honest and to admit that media battle we lost. We could not fight equally in the media battle because of the vast difference between the abilities Israel and its allies have compared to our abilities.
Okay.
Secondly, most of the media that has been transmitted internationally is sourced from one source, from usually Western media, or some of the certain Western media, not even all of the wide spectrum. So the information that has been fed maybe to Africa in general about the Palestinian-Israeli struggle is one-sided. What is compensating is that the feeling of Tanzanian or African in general towards oppressed people. That's why they might individually source other sources of media to get a bigger picture or better picture. But to be honest, we lost the media war. Israel managed to portray a totally different picture about what is happening in Palestine. In Palestine, we are, like many other nations in the past, we are under a system of oppression.
Okay.
We are under a system that is being described recently as an apartheid system because we can talk about why it's being called an apartheid system. What is the similarities?
Absolutely.
And the
I was going to go to that.
based on what? But Israel is imposing a systematic oppression by law against the Palestinian people for the sake of ethnically cleansing the Palestinian presence in Palestine and replace it with only Jewish presence in that area, which is Palestine.
Okay.
In that war, Israel had the support of the West, especially of the U.S., and the ability to overcome or oppress the resolutions coming from the United Nations as the voice of the international community. So many resolutions, hundreds of resolutions against Israel were passed from the United Nations representing the international voice, but it was all neglected, not respected. We had the U.S. always using veto in the Security Council also to oppress major action against Israel. So in short, we are a people living under occupation that has been oppressing us for the past 80 years.
80 years.
Yes, since the first Israel was established 1947. By doing that, all 700, 800,000 people were evicted from areas, Palestinian areas, and were replaced with what is called Israel. Not even to that stage, Israel have also in 1967 entered another war to take the rest of Palestine. So Palestine now completely is under the Israeli occupation, although there is pockets of land that is controlled by the Palestinian Authority.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
How old is Palestine?
Old?
Yes. Israel is of 1947.
Look, there is a very important aspect we have to understand and we have to study for.
Correct.
Israel tried to make an image that there were no Palestinians in that land that they come and they occupy. But before 1947.
Okay.
This is the propaganda. This is the image they are trying to say, that we went to a vacant land and we stayed there. But the truth is, the Palestinians have been living in that countries for thousands of years. The Palestinians who are Muslims recently, but they were Christians before, some of them have different sections of Christianity, and
Yes.
before they have other religions, and before that this is one of the oldest human inhabitants of the world. People change their religious
Of course, yeah.
with time and with newcomers, with new prophets or whatever the new. So Palestine and Palestinians are from different descendants and stayed in Palestine for thousands of years. They relate the Israeli presence with Moses of 5 years, but Palestine was there 8,000 years ago. The Palestinians were there. Okay, they adopted this religion, then they adopted another religion, but they are the same people. We are not talking about the connection of religion to the issue of Palestine. The connection is Palestinians living in their own land. Then you have the British mandate over Palestine, like the British mandate in many areas
in many
of this
countries,
world,
including Tanzania.
including
Yes.
Tanzania. Tanzania took its independence. Palestine remained unindependent because the British promised the Jewish pressure group in Britain to have a homeland for the Jewish people in Palestine.
Okay.
But it was in the letter of Lord Belford, the British foreign minister, who gave that promise for the Israelis or for the Jewish people, is to create a homeland for Jewish people in Palestine. Okay. So they recognize that there was Palestine. Okay, so it's like they are saying we promised the Jewish people a homeland in Tanzania.
Yes.
Does it mean that there was no Tanzania?
Of course,
it means there was.
Yeah.
So there was Palestine. Palestine was a prosperous country. Palestine in the 1920s, 30s, before the first occupation, was a country that had international cooperation and trade and investment in Europe, in Turkey, in China, in India, in Africa, in Egypt, in Morocco. The Palestinian trade was spread all over these areas. And there was a central bank, there was a currency, there was manufacturers, there was factories, there were farmers and farms and business. It was before occupation, Palestine was more advanced than many countries around Palestine on the Mediterranean.
Okay.
It was one of the most advanced cities culturally, manufacturing, industry. It was booming before the occupation. So when the promise was there was the British mandate imposed the creation of Israel, and the United Nations recognized the Israeli state in 1948.
Okay.
49.
Okay. All right.
But it is the same organization that Israel now is rejecting their decisions. And Israel was created by the United Nations, but now Israel is accusing the United Nations of being pro-Palestine. And it's not a valid platform to give decisions for international community.
Yes. You've mentioned one pertinent issue, Your Excellency, and I really wish to pick it, and I'm sure the viewers will be like, Austin, how could you have missed that question? When you mentioned the issue of religion, although you said it cannot be linked, but I thought, and I overheard people saying that the conflicts between Israelites and Palestinians are biblical. They trace back in, back in the days, biblical era, that when the two sons of Jacob and all that. Is that a myth? Is that true? Now that we have you.
Yeah, this is really it's good that you opened this subject. Although I was planning to talk about something else, but look, let's study. Usually they tell you a story, and they give you one source to tell that story. And they say you don't have the ability to think by yourself or to question things by yourself. You take it as is. But this is the crime. Taking things from the side of the Israelis when they tell you a story about Moses and about Jesus and about religions and the son and Semite and non-Semite. By the way, Palestinians are Semite.
Okay.
Okay. And if another fact that you have to know, most of the Israelis are non-religious.
Okay.
Now you go to Israel, to any city of Israel, you find the majority of them are non-religious.
Okay.
There is a group of right wing and fundamentalists. Yes, they are in government, so they are influencing the government. But their nature, they are not religious people.
Okay.
But usually, when you want to control any people or you want to control a mass, you need two things: ignorance and fear. If people are ignorant, they don't know really the history of Moses and the history of Judaism and Christianity and Islam, and you will be criticized or you will be punished if you touch the issue of Semite and being Semite and anti-Semitism.
Okay.
So they use both pillars. They use fear.
Okay.
This area you cannot question, you cannot understand. You should not dig under it. You shouldn't just take the story that we are telling you
as it is.
And then most of the people really don't know history. If, in short, if Moses was in Palestine, if the story is correct, okay, he was in a kingdom. A city used to be called a kingdom, by the way.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like in any other country, a city used to be a kingdom. Those people might be Christians when Christ came. They might converted, and they may converted to Islam, the descendants of Musa or Moses.
Yes.
But the problem that the Israelis who came to us, they are not descendants of Moses.
Okay.
Because the group who remained in Palestine believing in Judaism, they are Palestinian Jewish living in a city called Nablus.
Okay.
They are Palestinians. They are Palestinians in nature and language and everything, but they adopt the Jewish religion.
Okay.
But those Israelis who came to us today, they don't look like us. They don't look like Jewish people. They don't look like the people of the land. They came from Europe. They came from East Europe, or they came from France, or they came from Italy, or I don't know from where, or from America. And then they call themselves Jews, that we relate to Moses, then we have a right. You know, there was a discussion in the 1920s, 30s, to choose a place to consider it homeland for Israel.
Okay.
And you know that Uganda was one of those on the list.
Is that so?
Argentina was one of those on the list. You have the Uganda plan. We can read about it in history. Uganda was one of the places, and Kenya was one of the places that might be a homeland for the Jewish people, because it was under the British mandate.
Okay.
So if they choose Kenya to be the homeland for Jewish people, then they will say Moses and Jacob's son, they were in Kenya.
Okay.
So they adopted a religious impact on the political agenda they have, because they wanted the support of people who are afraid to tackle these issues and who doesn't know about the history.
Of course.
Okay, and the majority, unfortunately, to be honest, how many people among normal people on the street really go and dig and study what is the origin of? Not too many people do.
Not too many people, neither can you find,
sources.
Sources, yes.
Yes, correct. So I can tell you, they said a story, and we have to believe it because this is the only story that you are allowed to think about.
Okay.
But no, the truth is Jewish people who came from Europe, East or West Europe, do not have any right to be in Palestine.
Okay.
There is no relation. Because Moses and who came after Moses have no relation in genetics between these people. There
Absolutely.
is no. Imagine now a Chinese Muslim in China come and claim that Mecca belongs to China because he became Muslim. Okay, does not mean that Mecca and Saudi Arabia belongs to you.
Belongs to China, yeah.
Because of religion. You cannot claim somebody who adopted Christianity from South America, from Brazil, to come and claim that the Vatican is their place because he's a...
So, Your Excellency, just to dissect, the Israelites want, or they have, as you rightly said, they've occupied large space. Yeah, in Palestine. Is that is the cause, that is the genesis, that is what the conflict is about, them occupying and taking the land from Palestine?
That's it. Basically, this is the conflict. The conflict is Israel was created by force, by arms, and maintained by force and by arm, and maintained or based on a system of segregation, on a system of dominance, on a system of systematically and lawfully impose superiority of one people against the other, depending on race. Israelis feel, and those who created Israel took by force land of the Palestinians, evicted Palestinians out of their homes and land. 500 villages were erased when Israel was created. You are talking about 70% of the occupants, of the people occupying the land, the Palestinians, were refugees, sent to exile and never have the return to come back. Although now in the Israeli policy, that's why I say they are exercising apartheid and racial discrimination.
Yes.
Because by the Israeli laws, any Jewish people, have the right to come to Israel. But a Palestinian who lived there and his house is still there has no right to return. This is supremacy. This is racial discrimination that we are fighting.
Okay.
Israel came like for my grandfather's house. It's in an area called Bisan.
Okay.
I am not allowed to go to my grandfather's house, neither my father or my uncles.
Okay.
Because it is now in an area called Israel. But it is my grandfather's house. He built it with his hand, with his money. Okay.
When you
I
say-
went there.
Yeah.
I went there with a permit. We took a permit to go and visit our grandfather's house, and they transformed the house into a motel.
Okay.
Okay, and there is tourists come. But this is my property. I've never sold it to you. I never allowed Israel to take it. I never allowed those people who are managing it as a motel to take it. It is by force, by oppression. Because I am a Palestinian and they racially discriminate against me, I cannot return to my grandfather's house.
Oh, wow.
Or his properties, or his land, or his farm, or his equipment, that they are still there. We could see them.
Okay. Your Excellency, just so to understand, you obtained a permit from the Israeli government, so I understand. So the Israeli government is the one that would not allow a Palestinian citizen to visit.
Yes, we are not allowed to visit.
Okay.
We are considered restricted foreigners. You know, any tourist, you can go to Israel now. Take a visa and go there and visit wherever. I cannot do that. They will not issue me a permit. They don't give me a permit. They don't give me a permit to go to the Masjid al-Aqsa, which is 16 kilometers from my house. I cannot go and visit it. I cannot go. I am about 20 kilometers from the shore, from the beach. I cannot. I smell it, but I cannot touch it. I cannot see it. I don't have permit to do so. Although any people from the whole world can go there, I cannot go there.
Okay.
It is my land. It is my home. It is my farms. It is my beach. It is my property. I cannot see it. I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed to go to pray. You need a permit. And rarely you can get a permit. Out of 100, you get 2% approval on permits applied.
Wow.
Yes. So this is the oppression and the systematic oppression that we are talking about, based on racial discrimination only. You know, in most of the properties for Palestinians are considered a state property now. They can convert it and sell it to whoever. They can give it to a settler. They can give it to another investor coming from. But it's our property. We did not leave it. We did not sell it. And
They
we did not
pushed you out of
compensate.
it.
Yes, by force.
Okay.
And then they passed a law. That's why we say they are executing absolute apartheid regime. Because they impose laws to say that Israel is a country for its Jewish citizens only, meaning those Palestinians who refuse to flee the war, okay, 70% flee the war and run away and became refugees in other countries, and 30% remained. Those 30% of the Palestinians who are true owners of the land, they do not have equal rights like Soviet or a Ukrainian or a Georgian Jew who came yesterday to Palestine to be an Israeli Jew. They don't have the rights. Another problem of discrimination that in the West Bank, which is supposed to be the Palestinian future state according to the agreements that we reach with the Israelis, we do not have access to all areas in
The West Bank.
the West Bank, which is the Palestinian state, because they have planted settlements there. They come to, what is a settlement? The settlement is, they portray it in a very soft way, but the truth is, imagine you have this property here, and tomorrow I bring bulldozers and tell you that corner of this property is mine now.
Okay.
You cannot enter it. I will put a siege around it, a fence, and few military people, and you cannot enter it.
Okay.
The next morning, I will make a building, and I will bring people from Uganda, put them here. And you cannot talk to them. And then the next morning, I will make a road from that building to the main gate. You cannot cross that road, and you are not allowed to use that road.
Wow.
This is what is happening in Palestine. This is Israeli settlements. The next morning, they will start connecting this settlement with that settlement with that settlement in bypass road we are not allowed to use. And we are not allowed to farm land in between. It is our land. That is in the future Palestinian state according to the agreement, which is 22% of historical Palestine. We give them 78% of Palestine, and they still, we need more.
Wow.
Natural resources in Palestine, either oil or gas or minerals or even underground water, is being deprived and sucked out and drained out to the Israeli use, and we are not allowed to dig a well for water there because a helicopter come and bomb it directly. This is the segregation, the oppression that we are talking about. Israel in 2018 passed a law that says only Israeli, only Jewish people have the right for self-determination inside of Israel. What about the rest of the Palestinians?
Wow.
They don't have rights. What about Arabic language? No Arabic language, only Hebrew language will be used.
Okay.
What about employment? Imagine you are coming here today to be employed in this TV, and they will test, oh, you are from Arab origins, you don't have a chance. Bring somebody coming from Senegal because he is a Jew, he have the right. I'll give him the opportunity. This is what we are suffering. This is the problem, and more. And the good thing. Let's talk about some positivity.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to that, Your Excellency. Let me just give a cue. My dear viewers, you're watching the Monday Agenda, and with me on the Monday Agenda is the Ambassador of the State of Palestine here in Tanzania, His Excellency Hamdi Mansour Abu Ali, and we're looking on to. First part, we looked onto the bilateral, the relationship between our two countries, and then deep dived into the conflict between Palestine and Israeli. That is, everyone. We have this statement now coming from His Excellency the Ambassador, and I'm happy that we get the clarity that we can't probably get in the mainstream media, especially Western media. So. Stay there and get to know. Yes, so you're telling on the positive side.
On the positive side, we are starting to see recognition of the true situation there. We have witnessed a change in the ability to understand the conflict. 450 respected organization, asked the United Nations Human Rights Organization to investigate the presence of apartheid in Palestine. This is something that we start to see and give us some hope that, okay, now they can listen to the true story, to what's going on. The United Nations Special Rapporteur on Palestine and Israel really have issued a report saying that all the pillars used to categorize Israel as an apartheid state have been met, and Israel can be categorized under apartheid system, which has been imposed on the Palestinians. This is something that also was said and promoted by respected international organizations like Amnesty International, which issued a report recently to verify by proof how Israel is imposing apartheid
to Palestine.
To Palestine. This is something that at least will give hope to the Palestinians that the story is being projected in a more fair fashion. Hopefully it will take an effect. Hopefully the international community will really take a step similar to the step they took when they accused Russia of invading Ukraine, and the whole West took support, very strong support to the Ukrainians, and I think we should have deserved something similar, because it's a similar, there is oppression that have been exercised on us for all of that time. And until today, we start to hear people saying that it is a system of apartheid. This is, at least, will give us a hope.
Okay. Your Excellency, before we, while we're still on the positive side, I would like to understand Tutu's, the former bishop, Archbishop Desmond Tutu's engagement and involvement into the Israeli-Palestina conflict, but also to just maybe towards the closure of the program. The 45 minutes are really are running short, but at some point I would really wish to hear from you, Your Excellency. What is it that you, as the ambassador representing the state here in Tanzania, would like to see take shape in Palestine? But first, to understand Desmond Tutu's engagement and
Desmond Tutu is why he's famous. Desmond Tutu could say what he wants to say. He's a freedom fighter. He is a respected religious person.
That's correct.
He is a man who talks about what he sees, not about what he learns or from somebody else. And I was in South Africa when Desmond Tutu visited Palestine, and he came to the parliament there to speak about his visit, because it was a fact-finding mission.
Okay.
And in South Africa, they told him, compare the situation in Palestine to the situation in South Africa previously, or during the apartheid.
The apartheid.
And he said, what's the apartheid in South Africa, exactly, these are the words. He said, apartheid in South Africa is a picnic to what is happening in Palestine. I remember these words. Desmond Tutu said that what Israel is doing is truly an apartheid system. Not even that. Muallim Nyerere said it's an apartheid system. I will quote. He said, Tanzania continues to uphold the principle. No, the establishment of the State of Israel was an act of aggression against the Arab people. It's an act of aggression. This has been prescribed in the 50s. And Israel, because nobody have really put an end to the Israeli oppression, it's even worse than the 50s.
Okay.
This is what we are living.
Okay.
But I want also to thank the government of Tanzania, Rais Samia Suluhu Hassan, Minister of Foreign Affairs, to confirm also the stand of Tanzania towards the rights of the Palestinians. This is something that also gives us hope that we still have friends, and we still have people who can feel our pain, and we still have friends who can say the truth, and we still have friends who can voice their opinion about what is going on in Palestine. It is something we have to appreciate and to be humble to.
Okay.
Despite all of this pressure imposed by the superpowers to keep Israel on the safe side.
Okay. So my next question, Your Excellency, is now to understand an ideal situation for Palestine. How do you see it?
End the occupation. The ideal situation is to end the occupation according to the consensus of the whole world represented by the United Nations.
Okay.
The whole world said, what is the solution for Palestine? The only solution that they agreed on is to end the occupation. Israel must end its occupation of the Palestinian territories and let us be free.
Okay.
That's it. As other countries did, when occupiers occupy other countries, the whole world stand against them to stop their aggression and their occupation.
And if I'm also trying to understand and comprehend and probably add Palestine as a destination that I want to really visit. But just to understand, so how do the two governments work now? Because if you're not allowed to maybe dig a well in your own country, how do you work with the Israeli government? Just for my understanding, Your Excellency.
We work in the same sense of similar to the relation between a prisoner and the world.
Okay.
That is the relation between us.
Okay.
We tried so much to involve international players to mediate. Unfortunately, all of our efforts were fruitless until today.
Okay. All right. Your Excellency, we are drawing very close to the end of the program. I'm sure there's something that, left in your heart that you would like through the Monday agenda, the Tanzanian community at large, to know. You want to speak something. This is that 1-2 minutes of fame that you want to pass your message to the Tanzanian community.
Thank you. No,
Yes.
My message is first to be appreciating and to be humbled by the hospitality I got and by the open doors that I have seen since I came to Tanzania, and working together on opportunities to elevate the cooperation between Palestine and Tanzania. Hopefully, we managed so far to sign a few agreements of cooperation. And we are busy working on investments and bringing investors, and this is one of the issues we discussed before, the air. And I want to say thank you. I want to say may God bless you all, and I hope Tanzania will reach its intended goals by being an industrial and revolutionary industrial country. With its stance and support, once Tanzania is a huge industrial nation, it will help Palestine more.
Okay.
I thank you once again for this opportunity. And may God bless you and bless Tanzanians, and thank you so much for allowing me this chance.
Truly grateful, Your Excellency. This is the Monday Agenda, and with me on the Monday Agenda today was Ambassador of the State of Palestine, His Excellency Hamdi Mansour Abu Ali, and we are looking on to, by large, the conflict between Israel and Palestine, the invasion of Israel into Palestine, and looking onto the bilateral between Palestine and Tanzania. And as he rightly said, wishing Tanzania all the very best so that when we get there, we know we have a brother and we could always reach out. And I'm happy that in our discussion, Your Excellency, you did mention that, Tanzania recognizes the stance of the state of Palestine. And this also is expressed, and I stand to be corrected, by the virtue that when you presented your credentials, they were accepted. This is a sign of Tanzania accepting Palestine as an independent state in its own. So truly, and I hope that these conflicts, which are historic, which have taken such a long time, will soon be ended. We want to see the end to this conflict. I'm not sure if anyone is ever pleased with the conflict anywhere in the world. So we look so much forward, and all the very best to Palestine as well. And I'm grateful once again to have hosted you at Capital TV. And we look so much forward to continuing to engage with you. Any issues, just know that Capital TV is your media partner, and we'll be happy to be with you. You wanted to say something,
I want to say one thing.
Yes.
Kwa niaba ya Palestina napenda kuchukua fursa hii kuwatakia Watanzania wote Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Mubarak.
Asante sana.
Thank you so much. And by that marks the end of the Monday Agenda. I'm your host, Austin Makani. Until next time, Ramadan Mubarak.